Greetings, everyone. Welcome to our group presentation on one of the most controversial and educational business ethics cases in recent history, the Volkswagen emission scandal, widely referred to as Dieselgate. We are students from the HC 2121 Ethics and Business course. Today, we aim to take you through a detailed analysis of the scandal by examining the ethical issues involved, the stakeholders that were impacted, Volkswagen's corporate response, and our recommendations to ensure ethical compliance in similar companies. This presentation is based on our group research, and we have divided the discussion into key thematic sections to give you a clear understanding of the topic. Let's begin with a brief background. The Volkswagen emission scandal broke in 2015 September when the US Environmental Protection Agency discovered that Volkswagen had programmed their diesel engines to activate certain emission controls only during laboratory testing. These so-called defeat devices allowed the cars to pass regulatory test while emitting nitrogen oxide pollutants up to 40 times above the legal limit during regular road use. Volkswagen had long marketed the diesel vehicles as environmentally friendly, making the revelation especially damaging. This scandal quickly escalated into a global issue, with investigations and lawsuits unfolding across multiple countries. The goal of our presentation is to examine the ethical implications of Volkswagen's action, explore how it violated the regulatory and moral standards, and discuss what lessons business can take from this case to promote ethical leadership and corporate governance. The Volkswagen case presents a clear ethical dilemma, the choice between profit maximization and corporate social responsibility. In this case, Volkswagen deliberately chose profit over ethical business conduct and environmental safety. From an ethical standpoint, their actions can be analyzed using various theories. Utilitarianism questions whether the outcome produced the greatest benefit for the greatest number, which it did not, considering the environmental and health consequences. Deontology, on the other hand, stresses adherence to moral duties like honesty and respect for laws, which Volkswagen clearly violated. Finally, stakeholder theory argues that business must consider the impact of their actions on all stakeholders, not just shareholders. VW ignored this as it misled customers, endangered the public, and violated trust with regulators and governments.
Hi, this is Inisand, and let's look more deeply at how ethical theories apply. Under utilitarianism, the company might have gained short-term benefits like increased sale and market shares. However, the long-term damage to the environment, public health, and the trust clearly outweighs these gains. This makes their decision unethical from a utilitarian point of view. According to deontological ethics, Volkswagen violated essential moral duties. The company lied, manipulated tests, and failed to uphold responsibilities to stakeholders. From a stakeholder theory lens, Volkswagen failed to protect the interest of several critical parties, consumer regulators, environmentalists, and even their own employee. And the scandal reveals that when a company ignores ethical frameworks in pursuit of short-term gains, the consequences are severe and far-reaching. Now, let's identify and analyze the key stakeholders affected by this scandal. First, customers were deceived into believing they were buying environmentally friendly cars. Second, employees faced job insecurity and reputational damage. Third, regulatory agencies such as the EPA and CARB were undermined. Fourth, stakeholders suffered financial loss due to plummeting stock price. Fifth, the general public bore the brunt of increased pollution and health risks. Each stakeholders group experienced harm due to Volkswagen unethical decisions. By using a stakeholders map, we can visualize how far reaching the effects were, stretching across various sectors and continents. This clearly demonstrates the interconnected nature of corporate responsibilities and ethics. So let's talk about Volkswagen's response and accountability. Volkswagen's initial response to the scandals was largely reactive. They admitted fault only after being exposed by regulators. Um, they were forced to recall millions of vehicles, pay over 30 billion in fine and settlements, and faced numerous lawsuits globally. When they did apologize and promise to change, their commitment was questioned. They shifted their focus to electric vehicles and made effort to improve internal governance and compliance. But critics uh, argue that they were attempts to repair their image rather than genuine moral reforms. So, from an ethical standpoint, the response lacked transparency and failed to fully address the breach of trust. The damage done to their reputations was long lasting, and rebuilding that the trust required more than just financial restitutions, it needed sustained ethical commitment.
Good morning, sir. Hope you are doing well. My name is Vijay Tamang, and I am one of the group member of this group. And I'm gonna talk about the environmental consequences, recommendations, and conclusion. Let's begin with this slide. Environmental consequences. The environmental consequences of Volkswagen's actions were devastating. The manipulated vehicles emitted nitrogen oxide at levels up to 40 times the permissible limits. No contributes to air pollution, which is linked to respiratory problems, cardiovascular disease, and even premature deaths. This not only endangered the health of millions but also undermined global efforts to combat climate change. The violation of the Clean Air Act in the US and similar laws worldwide was not just a legal issue, it was an ethical failure. It showed that Volkswagen prioritized financial performance over ecological responsibility and public well-being. The impact continues today as the scandal eroded confidence in clean diesel technology and set back environmental initiatives across the auto industry. Moving to the next slide, recommendations. To prevent similar ethical failures in the future, we recommend several key actions. First, Volkswagen should establish an independent ethics and compliance committee made up of external experts operating separately from executive leadership. Second, it's vital to strengthen whistleblower protections, ensuring employees can report unethical practices anonymously and without fear. Third, ethics must be fully integrated into the corporate culture through regular training and reinforcement of core values. Fourth, the companies should invest transparently in sustainable innovation, making all efforts measurable, independently audited, and publicly reported. Lastly, government structures need reform, including the addition of independent directors to ensure stronger oversight. These recommendations are supported by stakeholder theory, deontology, and agency theory, aligning Volkswagen's operations with both ethical principles and legal responsibilities. Moving to the next slide's conclusion. In summary, the Volkswagen emission scandal is a powerful case study in ethical failure. It illustrates how a focus on short term financial gain at the expense of ethical principles can lead to widespread harm, not just to consumers and regulators, but also to the company itself. The scandal serves as a warning and a learning opportunity for all business. It reinforces the importance of ethical leadership, regulatory compliance, stakeholder engagement, and transparent corporate governance. For a company to thrive in today's competitive and socially conscious world, it must build trust through ethical behavior and long-term sustainability. Moving to the next slides, this is our last slides. that brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you very much for your time and attention. We hope this deep dive into the Volkswagen emission scandal has helped highlight the crucial role that ethics plays in modern business. If you have any questions or thoughts, we'd be happy to discuss them further. Thank you very much.